Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marina, and I'll be your host for today. So today's topic is on stretch your pain away, say bye to shoulder, back and neck pain. So just as we are waiting for more people to join in, right, we have posted some poll questions. So let's take a look at the results. Right, so as you can see, most of you are still working from home, about 48% of you. And also some of the common health issues that you are suffering from includes shoulder, neck, and back pain. That's why you are in this webinar, right? Okay, thank you for doing the poll. And I think this will certainly help us in the webinar planning and also understanding your concerns and needs for today's webinar. Okay, so I'll bring Alan into the screen and, and myself. Okay. Today we are very happy to invite Alan, director from Dr. Stretch, to join us in this webinar. So Alan has over 9 years of experience in the healthline industry, which includes 5 years of experience with Dr. Stretch. And he's also an international trainer and also the first Stretch World Grand Prix champion. So in this webinar, if you are suffering from neck pain or back pain like me, you are in the right webinar. Because in this webinar, he will share with us the dangers of prolonged sitting and tips to ease your shoulder, neck, and back pain. And also, when do we need to seek for medical help if the condition doesn't improve? And towards the end of the webinar, Alan will also be demonstrating simple stretching exercises you can try at home or in your office. So if you have any questions for Alan at any point of time, please type in your questions in the Q&A box that is located at the bottom of your screen. So with that, I will now hand over the time to Alan to start the presentation.
Right, good afternoon, everybody. Can everyone hear me, right? Yes, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Right, so my name is Alan. Like what Marina said, I'm one of the directors here in Dr. Stretch in Singapore. So what we normally do is we use stretches to help people to relieve their body aches and pains. And I think one of the most common issue that people face is neck, shoulder, and so-called lower back pain. So why are we always having this issue, and why should we using stretch to stretch away this pain? I think we have a really great partnership with Raffles Health Insurance today that we are able to address this issue to help out with everyone who have this issue. So without going further ado of my introduction, I just go jump straight into the PowerPoint slides. Okay. Musculoskeletal problems also arise with prolonged sitting, and this can be attributed to awkward and static posture, as well as repetitive movements in a sedentary lifestyle. I mean, this is also why habits surround your daily life, especially your posture affects your muscles greatly. So in this slide, you can see, right, as we sit in this position, I'm not saying until this position, throughout the day, we won't be able to sit whole in this position for very long. That is due to the effort that we have to put in. But at the same time, due to our work, when we're so engrossed into the work that is right in front of us, our body posture will also start to lean towards the screen. Then this will also start to give you a different area of aches and pains in your body. So if you lean slightly in between your stoop angle, with this, what this screen shows, is normally between your head and neck that got the issue. If you lean slightly further forward, you will start to get a little bit more backache. And this point of axis generally come from your sternum area, all right, your stomach area, your abs, all right. So people will start to say, hey, I only have this issue, but then why do I also have my arms, my shoulders and stuff like that? Because our muscles are all connected to one another. Okay, so with the pressure being created on the organs, your blood flow will also start to channel in other areas to also support your muscles, your organs, your structures. So when all these things start to so-called channeling to every other supporting organs, you also start to increase the risk of all these other diseases diabetic and CVD, cardiovascular disease, right? So I mean, like, this is the extreme end. I'm not saying that you sit for too long, you get like that, all right? So then how can we address this? Wouldn't a standing desk will help me then? But before we address about whether can you use a standing desk, first thing first is that we have to look into the posture, because you can have a standing desk, but without a proper posture, you are still going to get some issues on your lower back. Okay, so standing desk does help to some degree, but not when your standing posture has already been compromised, right? With tight muscles or the weaker muscles. So in this tree posture, the middle one is what we call as a good posture, right? And then we have the two extreme end, right? One is what we call kyphosis. The other one is called sway back. Okay, so all this due to our sitting posture, and when we stand up, our muscles adapt to the kind of a foundation, so it build and mold your body shape into that. So prolonged sitting posture will start to give you thick and weak, tight and weak muscles. Why is there tight and weak? Because muscles are balanced in between front and back, left and right. So if muscles are already being pulled to one certain extent, okay, in whichever direction is, the opposite direction of that will start to get a little bit more weakened, right? That's why you can have tight and weak as well, right? And then therefore, with all this muscle structure that is tight and weak, it will give you a poor standing posture. So what is your so-called posture like? Okay, most of the time we have these two sitting posture: forward leaning or slump, where you have a backrest at the back, you really lie down, lay back, that kind of stuff. I love the slump posture. Okay, I myself love it. Okay, so we will go into the so-called the understanding of how all this prolonged posture will have an effect on our body. Okay, there is a study on this, okay, to investigate the discomfort on your posture and the muscles that you are feeling. What they do is they select 10 healthy participants to sit, okay, on this tree posture 1 hour each, right? So 1 hour in the upright position, 1 hour in a slump position, 1 hour in a forward leaning position. And before and after of each of these so-called tests, they will have the pain scale so-called questionnaire given to them. Before, how are you feeling? After, how are you feeling after the 1 hour? Okay, so most of the time, what they found out, okay, the conclusion, okay, is that the sitting posture with the highest lower back discomfort is forward leaning. Okay, sitting in an upright posture is recommended because there are some muscles that we need to engage in order to hold up our posture nice and tight. So the slump is actually better than forward leaning, but still not as best as upright. Okay, so let's go into the forward leaning a little bit more detail. Okay, so in terms of the forward leaning, you can see from the screen, okay, it says that it's also associated with an increase of iliopsoas lumborum, partially connected to your thoracic, which is your ICL, which is at the back part of the spine, okay, and the superficial lumbar of the multifidus muscle, right? Because of that, you are actually creating a lot of stress on the lower back, which is near your pelvis region. Okay, that's why they say that this is the highest lower back discomfort. Okay, for slump, it's less so-called engaged on the lower back because you're not actually putting pressure on it, lesser, not say totally not. Okay, so there's a decrease internal of the oblique, which is the front, and the transverse abdominis, which is at the side, right? So compared to the upright sitting position, it is actually much more lesser. Okay, so this is the least activation among the three positions. Then you will be asking, since this is the lowest activation in terms of the muscle, and our muscle is supposed to be relaxed, then why should we not sit in this position, and why must we sit upright? Now, remember just now I told you, right? When we talk about the so-called the pressure that we need to engage, okay? We need to engage the ICL, we need to engage the multifidus as well, all right? But without the coming from the front part of the muscles and only engaging from the back, you will only going to have problems at the back. And earlier I did talk about we need to have a balance, right? You cannot have something to turn on and something doesn't turn on, right? So in order to have a proper upright without any discomfort, okay, in the long run, right, you need your balance between your front and back and your side as well. Okay, this is what we call our intra-abdominal pressure. Okay, this is where the core is. And if you do not have a strong core, you're going to have issues in terms of your organs are being compressed. Your structures will also start to be a little bit like degenerated in the sense that, say, discomfort in aches and pains. Sometimes the blood flow will not be good. Okay, so having the right amount of muscles activated, okay, not too much, not too little, okay. Having the right muscles activated, it will actually maintain your structure without going to the extreme end on either side, okay. So with this activation, is actually going to create a good core, a good stable core, all right, which is what we want. Anything that is going to be superficial from the outside of the core, you're going to use more of those muscles, which is when compare your limbs compared to your core muscles are much more stronger. Now imagine if you were to build a house, right? If your foundation is not strong, the house will eventually go to collapse, right? So this is what we call where should our foundation be built on? Our core, okay? So with this upright position, there is an equal amount of pressure that you need to activate on the muscle. Okay, so this is why this is one of the best positions, but it's not going to be easy. So we're going to have some tips, right, on how to improve your workstation. We call it an active workstation. Okay, there's another study, okay, on people who have sitting down for too long and what kind of a behavior will they have. Okay, 48%, almost 50%, right, feel uncomfortable with their workstation. Right, 70% feel exhausted during the workday. 6.3% will start to say that they are suffering hypertension. I also do not know. Probably it's basically stress, depending on what job you are doing. Okay, if let's say you're teachers and then your students are always not listening, definitely, all right, there will be building up of stress, right? And then 11.2% are reported about the hyperlipidemia, all right? So this is based on 8 hours of a poor sitting posture. So this whole study is really just to understand the excessive sitting behavior, what will cause you to have during these 8 hours of work when you're sitting down, right? So what is the outcome? Okay, conclusion is that sitting behavior had actually adverse effects on office workers. So therefore, active workstation should be recommended to improve their working conditions, sorry. Right? Then what is an active workstation? I'll go through with this on what an active workstation later part. But basically, active workstation meaning to say that besides sitting down, looking into your screen, you should be doing something else. Okay? So you will not have the whole time just only focus on the screen itself, but also getting some relief from the body parts that you're seated down. Okay, so then what will happen when you prolong in this so-called sitting posture? You already have stress, you already feel bored, having discomfort here and there. All right, next thing you're going to start to have is neck issue, shoulder issue, back issue. And all of this is over 50%. Okay, which is very common to a working class adult who is comparing to sitting and standing. Okay, so based on this exhaustion, you will start to feel a decrease in work satisfaction, right? And then you'll start to feel stress. And at the end of the day, all this all sum up, you start to have your musculoskeletal disorder system. Musculoskeletal meaning to say that all your muscles, okay, all right. So what can we do to actually help to prevent all this? There are many things that we can do, okay? But before we want to go into that, then some people will say that, oh, so we should be doing more standing, less sitting. Yes and no, okay? Like I said before, it depends on how your posture is like first. So without addressing your posture, if you change from a sitting desk to a standing desk, you are still going to have lower back pain. You're still going to have less, but less, okay, like neck and shoulder pain, okay? So this study actually is to compare. So sitting down and standing up, working for long hours, what is the outcome? Both have lower back pain. Sitting, 76%, standing, 70%. So then why should I stand? I cannot sit, I cannot stand. Then what should I do? Lie down? No. The issue here is not about should we do sit, should we do stand. The issue here is because it is a prolonged, long working hours. And because of long working hours, you have a fixed posture. When you add these two together, this is what you're going to get, chronic back pains. Okay, so this is why we need to have an active workstation to relieve the issue that we are facing right now. Okay, this is the stats. Red is sitting, blue is sitting, red is standing. Based on the percentage, everybody still have pain, right? But because it is prolonged, okay, prolonged sitting, prolonged standing, that is why we have this issue. So at the end of the day, how can we address this lower back pain then? Or shoulder pain that you want to say, or neck pain that you want to say, right? Because sitting also wrong, standing also wrong. First of all, I did say before, no matter what we do, it is due to the posture. Okay, why? Because muscles attach to the bone. Your bone is a skeleton, it's a frame of its own. Without muscle, you can't move. Without the muscle, you cannot stand upright, you cannot sit upright. The bones will definitely go to drop and collapse. So therefore, we call it muscular, which is muscle, skeletal, which is the skeleton. This system has to work together. You have good bone structure, poor muscle movement, no good. You have good muscle movement, which is going to be quite difficult if you have a bad structure. Remember what we said, right? Without a firm foundation, whatever you build upon on that, you will start to collapse. You will start to fail. Okay? So when muscles get tense, it will compress onto your nerves and your blood vessel. And because every part of our body organs, including your muscles, need to have a supply of oxygen, need to have a supply of the blood. This is their nutrient. This is their food. This is their resources. Without this, they can't function properly. And at the end of the day, when they are being compressed, okay, imagine a so-called highway, 5 lanes of cars moving fast from one point A to point B. And then suddenly at the end, we are all narrowing down into 1 lane, bottleneck. Then whatever the highway that is being designed for is no longer functional, right? So therefore, we need to ease off the muscle, okay, so that we can actually open up the blood vessels, not say open up the blood vessel, so that it doesn't compress onto the blood vessel, okay? Then why nerve? Because the muscle itself cannot work on its own. It is connected to the brain, okay? So every part of the muscles have many nerves that is being generated from the brain to send a signal down to what we want to do. Even now, when I'm moving my hand gesture, moving my head, okay, the brain will send the signal to the muscle to move, to activate. So when it's being compressed, again, okay, the nerve will have a least significant of traffic. The so-called transmission will start to be slower. Not that it will totally be blocked. If it's totally blocked, you'll start to get numbness, okay, which is not going to be great. And why I always say that it compresses on the blood vessel and nerve, because when the muscles is protected by the skin, you can't actually expand the skin as and how you want. It's the structure that we have on how big we are, how firm it is, right? So if the skin structure is only this tense, it can only go to this part of the wall. It can't go beyond this wall. which is why the room that is going to be available for the muscles to get to grow bigger is very, very limited, unless you do steroid and that kind of stuff, right, to build up the body structure. That's a different story. Okay, so therefore, when it compress it can't. When it press against the wall, it can't go anywhere further. Your muscles will start to press onto the nerve and press onto the blood vessel. Okay, so this is why when your structure, when you feel pain on your neck, on your shoulder, on your back, okay, why is it that you have all this kind of feeling? Is because that is affecting the circulation and the transmission. Okay, so at the end of the day, why do we need to stretch? It's very simple. Okay, muscles. How does muscle work? Muscle work as a sliding filament. Okay, so to produce an effort or to produce a movement, muscles slide in, and when they slide finish, they will have to relax themselves. Okay, so they do in this movement, slide in, slide out. So why do we need to stretch? Because this is the only way where muscles goes in and they hold in the structure for too long. You need to do the same way to pull them apart, right? So the only way to really pull them apart to relieve the tension is through stretching. The pulling of the muscle from one end to another end is called stretching, right? So when the effect of this start to get a little bit more loosened, the stiffness start to get softened, your muscles will be able to move in a more flexible manner. Okay, that's why is it going to help you to lower down your cortisol because of the blood pressure? Okay, it will help to improve your blood circulation, and overall, most important thing that we need to talk about is the posture. So because when your muscles are more flexible, we can actually move and how we want to program them to be able to stay in that manner. So when that happens, because the muscle now is able to move, it will help to increase your flexibility. And the overall outcome is to really to reduce the muscle stiffness. Okay, this study about the 12-week program is actually from our company. Our company had a collaboration with the university in Japan that we did a study on this. Okay, so they actually find the sedentary people. Okay, I think about 50 of them. Okay, split into two groups. One do self stretches, one do passive stretches. Self stretch, also called active stretch, is like what you do in your normal daily life. Like, okay, I stretch like that, I stretch like that. This is active. Okay, passive means that someone is stretching for you. Okay, there's a huge difference. Okay, so based on this, okay, both are doing stretching. Both group have a result, and both group have decreased the lower back pain. But which is more? Okay, it's the passive stretching. Because when someone stretches for you, you will want to relax your body so that you can actually allow the muscle to move or to be stretched. But when you are stretching, you're actually controlling the movement. Meaning to say that when you control the movement, your muscles have to be activated, which also means that you can't really relax the muscle. You still get some result, which we're going to do it later. Okay, you can try out. Then you'll see what is the difference like. Okay. And why do we really need to talk about health? Because if you can get a healthy life, you basically save a lot more money. Okay, so we always talk about this. You have the money, but then you do not know where to spend. It's because we all work so hard to earn the money. But at the end of the day, you work so hard and your body starts to frail. This money will recycle back into rehabilitating or giving back to proper health. At the end of the day, the aging population is starting to increase. And it's already proven. We are able to live much more longer due to, we don't talk about COVID, okay? Due to the advance of technology that we have, right? But if you're not going to give our current body a chance to live to that stage, we're going to require a lot of aids, right? So how can we actually help you to save your health, which is your wealth, okay? Is to increase your physical daily activity, okay? Be it at your home or at your work, one thing is to actually get out there and just to move. Okay, so as long as you're able to move, that will actually help to generate movement into your muscles, generate movement into your joints, and won't feel so stiff. Okay, so I talk about active workstation. This is what I mean by active workstation. Okay, having your sitting posture, you can actually have a small little cycling tool. We call it Eclipse something. I can't remember what's the name. Okay, it's really a cycling tool that works on your legs. You can put it on under your desk. Okay, and like a paddling tool. Okay, you can do that. All right, or you can sit on the gym ball. Okay, or have a standing desk where you can stand. If you think that it is too long, okay, you can have a high tool, all right, that you can actually sit on, right? Most importantly is being ergonomic, right? Having a structure that you are not too extreme in this position, not too extreme in this position, but able to relax your shoulder, relax your eye. Your eye should be so-called, the screen should be facing your eye level, not looking down, not looking up. All right. So all these are little tools that actually help you to gain activeness during your work. But what is the best way? You might say that, okay, all this thing maybe I cannot buy and put into my office. Okay. Then have a timer. Set yourself in your phone alarm every 30 to 45 minutes. Just get up from your desk, walk around, get a cup of water, and then come back. Every 1 hour, you should have at least, okay, a break. So for every 1 hour, you should work to about 45 minutes or so, take a small little break, and then come back in again. All right. So that it actually break down the habits of how your sitting posture is. Okay. And this is very important because as long as you are not sitting for too long, okay, it will actually help to make your body move and adjust rather than sit there and then let the body move, right? Your habits will start to form from there. Okay. Then when do we need to see a doctor? For us in Dr. Stretch, we are not doctors. We are actually stretch trainers. Okay. We don't diagnose anything. Okay. We suspect and then we will see what we can do, right? But when should you see a doctor? Now, most of the time when you see a doctor, they will give you painkillers and stuff like that. Then should we really see a doctor? It really depends. Okay. Most of the time you should see a sports doctor or a physio. Physio can give you diagnosis. Okay. But of course, in Singapore, it works the other way around. You have to see a doctor and then the doctor will refer you to see a physio. But if you go to a private physio, probably that is the only way to go. Okay, to have a diagnosis and then to work on it. But when to see a doctor, really when the pain is really persisting, sharp pain. Okay, all right, then you should see a doctor to get a scan. When you have high fever or all this kind of stuff, breathing difficulties, all right, even painkillers also that doesn't work anymore. Okay, you should see a doctor to get a scan so that you have a diagnosis on that. Okay, so that you also can rest assured about is it going to be too serious or not. But if it's a general mild ache and that kind of things, a rest is good enough. Mobility in your body is good enough. Okay, drink lots of water is good enough. You don't really need to see a doctor just for that. Okay, all right. So I would like to do some tests and so-called experiment on this. Okay, I know we are here for neck pain, back pain, or shoulder pain. What can we actually help, okay, to relieve the aches that you are feeling? I just want to do a common experiment where people have lower back pain. Most of the time, people have lower back pain. Okay, the reason very simple. Your lower back is the so-called center connecting between your upper body and lower body. And remember the first picture that I showed you where every time when we sit down, when we leaning forward, okay, and even leaning backward, okay, it is still within your abdominal region, okay, which is why it always have a lower back pain. Even though I sit down for too long, it's always neck an issue. Eventually, it will still come back to your lower back, okay. There's another so-called lesson on that. But how can I actually help the people to relieve the lower back pain? 3 muscle groups that I want you to do. Okay, you just need to stretch your hamstring. Okay, hamstring is this area, the back part of the thigh, quads, quadriceps, and your bum, which is your glute muscle. Based on these 3 muscles, if you can actually get them to activate and stretch regularly, you should start to relieve some lower back pain on your own. Okay, of course, it's not going to solve the whole thing, but it is something that we commonly find out why is it the deciding factor of a lower back pain. Of course, there's something more. But this 3 muscles group is very, very easy that you can actually stretch out and relieve on it. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 things, okay? One is self-stretch, okay? One is me doing the stretch, a live demonstration, okay? So I'm going to have one of my staff to come in, okay? And then to show you the difference, okay? They will do a forward bend test, okay? See whether are they able to touch the ground, okay? After that, I will just ask them to do self-stretches on one side, and I'll do the passive stretches on the other side, okay? Then you'll see that what is the difference, okay? All right, I'm going to invite one of my staff to come in right now. Okay, now, I need to switch off the background. Don't know whether you can see. Okay. I don't think I can right now. So if you can see where my staff is standing, all I need to do is just to do a forward bend and see how far he can lean forward. Okay, with your heel together. Okay, and then bend forward. So this is the maximum that he can go. Let's do a measurement and see how far he can go. This is about 45 cm. Okay, 45 cm from the wrist to the floor. Okay, so for demonstration purpose, I'm just going to ask him to stretch himself on the right leg. Okay, you're going to stretch the glute max, okay, the quads, and the hamstring. Okay, for each of the stretch, you just need to hold 20 seconds. Okay, 20 seconds on each muscle group. All right, just 1 set. Just for demonstration purpose only. Okay. All right. Ready? Let's go. So right now, where he's stretching is the hamstring. Where he's stretching right now is the quads. So when you're stretching the quads, because it's aligned from your pelvis, okay, we always want the knee to be able to go behind where the pelvis point is. Okay, but of course, if you can't, it's fine. But you want to get a maximum good result on the quad stretch, self stretch. Okay, you should be standing upright with this pelvis, okay, facing forward, right? This knee is supposed to be slightly behind the pelvic point here, okay? And the last one, a glute max stretch. This is where the glute max is. So after this whole 3 stretches, about 20 seconds each, we're going to take a measurement, right? And then after that, I will do a passive stretch on the 3 muscle group, same thing on 1 set, and then we will see what is the difference. Okay. So now, just now, remember we said that it's about 45 cm. Bend forward, keep your knee straight. If you can see, this hand is slightly longer than the other now. Now this is 36 cm. Okay. All right, this hand is much more longer than this. The part that this person has stretched, which is the right hand side, okay, is now able to go a little bit more lower than the other. All right. Now let's see what I can do with the left side. All right. Oh, can you lie down on the bed for me? So because he has stretched the right side, I'm going to stretch the left side. Okay. So this is what we normally do in the shop. Okay. We don't just stretch, we prep the muscle before we stretch. Just like a warm-up, shaking and moving before we go into the stretch. Okay. Because when your body starts to get a little bit more cold in the sense, and then you suddenly get into the stretch, you may not feel very comfortable. Okay. So I'm just going to warm up around the hip joint area so that actually there is a good blood flow, relax the muscle. Okay, I'm going to start off with the biggest muscle group, which is the glute max. So what is the difference between what we are trying to do is to lock up every body part that gives you the compensation movement, stop the compensation movement from getting turned on, okay? And then just focus on the muscle itself. So like I said, we're only going to do 1 set. Next, I'm going to work on the hamstring. Stop the compensation movement, get into the stretch. Taking in a deep breath and breathe out. So because I am actually doing the stretch for him, I can play with a different angle to stretch a different part of the hamstring. And the last one, which is the quadricep. Now, because most of the time people are very tight at the quads, okay, the pelvis will start to compensate and arch back. So normally what we will do, okay, we will ask the person to hug their leg. Stop the back from arching, and then get into the deep quad stretch. Okay, so now that we're finished, again, you just got to do the measurement. Forward bend. This is 30. Okay, so you can tell the difference between the left and right. South stretch also give improvement from 45 to 36, but the passive resistor stretch give a bigger improvement from 45 to 30 cm. Okay. All right, so basically what we are trying to do here is to let you know that when you have aches and pains, that doesn't mean that that's the end of the day, that's the end of the year, or that's the end of the world. There are things that we can do, things that we can help you to relieve, get you in the better posture, get you in a better position, so that you can actually have lesser aches. We can't solve everything, okay? Even doctors also can't solve everything, right? But what we want to do is to give you the best kind of relief that is a non-surgical approach, non-invasive method to help you to give blood supply into your organs, into your muscle. Also to give you the flexibility to move around so that you don't get stuck. Is every time I move here, I feel pain. Every time I do this, I feel pain, right? That is just a simple demonstration. And with that, I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Alan, for the presentation and the demonstration.
No
So
worries.
now I will proceed with the Q&A session. Okay, for the first question, someone is asking, I
Right.
have arm pain during my sleep. How can I fix it?
I have what pain?
Arm pain.
Arm pain. Okay. So may I know, is it the whole arm or is it really just at a certain spot? The pain can be a numbness, it can be aches, or is it sharp pain? Most of the time when you have that, okay, generally it's because there's a pressure being pressed onto the nerve. Because when you come to sleeping, you're actually not able to be aware of how your position is. The best advice that I get from sleep doctors, okay, they always say try to sleep upright, not to move around as much as we can, which is very difficult, okay. But if you do have to, all right, you should elevate, all right, like don't lie and compress onto the shoulder, all right? Have some space, have some leeway, all right? Another way is actually before you sleep, all right, do some mobility exercises or put some so-called heat pack, okay, to warm around the shoulder so that you don't feel cold, right? When the muscle turn cold and you get compressed, you will actually feel the pain as well.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to the second question. So the question is, can Dr. Stretch help with this bulge?
This bulge?
Bulging of the disc,
yeah. No, we can't. We can help you to relieve the tension around it, because when this bulge, this has already been off the bone. We don't do anything to the bone, okay? For our way of doing stuff is we do not manipulate any bone structure, so we don't crack a bone, okay? So when this happened, this is already meaning to say that your disc has already been pushed off from your spine, whether is it the anterior, posterior, laterally, okay? Most of the time, you should see a chiro to see whether it can be fixed. But what we do is we ease the tension around it so that in the long run, you will not engage the pressure to give you a better opening to ease off the tension. Yeah. So we can't actually move the disc back for you. Okay.
Okay. All right. The third question is, why does affected area feels warm? Is it inflammation?
Okay. If there's no swelling, all right, that's not inflammation. Warm can also come from a nerve, so-called nerve issue. Okay, nerve don't just give you numbness, but it also give you generate heat. So if there's no swelling and there is heat in there, probably you might have some nerve impairment going in your body that we might have to find out where is it coming from, or whether is it a brain structure that is causing you to have that kind of disturbance. Does it move when you get, I mean, like, does it get worse when you move, or is it like being locally, whether you move or don't move? Actually, if it doesn't move and you have that, it is really, I think, okay, not my 100% of my words, but I suspect there's a nerve damage somewhere, which is why you have that kind of sensation. But when you come to, if you get worse when moving, there is some impingement along that pathway, whether it's coming from your shoulder, coming from your elbow, coming from your hip. Okay, we can actually trace it and see whether is there nerve impingement.
Okay. The next question is, I think just now the stretching exercises is more for the back. I think someone is asking, so what are other stretching exercises that they can do for the neck and the shoulder?
We just actually finished one seminar on neck and shoulder stretches. Maybe we can have another round because when we do this kind of stuff, it's actually very specific. It can run up the whole day. So simple stretches, because most of the time our neck is in this manner. So you shouldn't be really stretching that much more, but you should be stretching this way more. So when you finish at the end of the day, you're always like, this kind of feeling, right? Because it's always relaxing in here. So we will help you to fix this. But if you were to stretch yourself, you'll feel very, very, very uncomfortable. So one of the simpler way of stretching is having your hand at the base of the chin. Okay, just look up as high as you can, right? So from here, all you need to do is just to push up, drop your shoulder. Allow the stretch to feel from the front, because most of the time this is tight. Okay, play around with the angle also, turning to the side, stretch this part of the SCM. You can hold on to this part of the collarbone, just stop it, and then tilt upwards. Okay, having this will help you ease off the tension from the front. But if you have discomfort coming from the back, what you can do, right, is instead of stretching, okay, have your hand at the back of the head. Push your head upwards against your palm. Use the neck muscle to generate the effort of producing this movement. So when you look down this way, push against your palm, use your head lift up. You will start to channel energy into that particular muscle, which is around here. And now if you do that about 2 or 3 times, you'll start to feel like, hey, how come I can engage my neck a little bit much more easier? Okay. I mean, if you want, we can do another session on this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. The next question is, how often do we need assisted stretching?
Okay, generally it's once a week. Our main motto is not to stretch you every day or not to stretch you every week. We really hope to see you, not to hope to see you, we actually do not want to see you. Because at the end of the day, we want to promote good health, right? If your body is a little more flexible already, you don't really need us, right? You can do it on your own. But in the beginning, you have to make sure that you need to understand why are you stretching first, because of your habit. So in terms of habit and posture habit comes together, right? So without changing the habit, you stretch once a week every day is also useless. So you need to change the habit first, right? So 2 ways to actually stretch a habit. One is we will stretch your muscle to change the memory in your muscle. The other way is you have to do your own by telling yourself, I need to sit upright, I need to start moving, I need to exercise, I need to eat healthily, I need to sleep better, right? So doesn't mean that you come to us, everything is solved. I don't want to give the impression that we can do everything, but we can generally give you the relief, we can give you a really good outcome. But what happened next is more important, because I give you the relief, you don't keep to that, the effect will come back again. So then it's no longer once a week that we need to see you, maybe 2 or 3 times a week that I need to see you. Okay, yeah.
Okay. The next question is about sleeping posture. So someone is asking, is there any recommended good sleeping posture? Because they say that I always wake up with a sore back in the morning.
I think sometimes it may not be the posture that you're sleeping. It may be the bed that you are having. When I was in Australia, there was a system that they actually test how firm the bed is supposed to be for you, right? And then when you're leaning to the side and stuff like that, they will test out what type of bed you should be getting. I do not know whether Singapore have or not, but that can be one of the reasons that cause you to have a low back pain. Another reason that can give you a low back pain is instead of you lying straight, you are actually curling yourself into a very, very bad posture. So because sleeping is also about 7 hours, which is like another working day, right? But it's just that because we are in this position and we can't adjust. You cannot tell me, say, I sleep 45 minutes, I need to wake up, walk around, and then come back to sleep. That would actually disturb your sleep, okay? So the best thing is sleep upright and have space, all right? Have pillow support by your side that you can actually feel comfortable. So even when you are tossing around, because there is feedback coming from the pillow, you may also get adjustments. Say, oh, okay, I think I cannot go further unless you are in the middle of the night, you throw away all the pillow, then I do not know. Okay, but that can be one of the ways to help you to do with the sleeping posture. But like I said, I can't see, I won't know. The best advice is actually to get a sleeping doctor to look into how your sleeping style is, whether you go into deep sleep or not going to a deep sleep, REM sleep, and how your posture affect that kind of sleep.
Okay. I think in the interest of time, we'll take the last question. So someone is asking, what's the difference between stretching and chiropractor? Which is better? Yeah.
Of course, if I were to say that I'm from Dr. Stretch, I would say stretching is the best. No,
Yeah.
okay? No. Everybody work in their own expert field. Chiro work with bones. We, Dr. Stretch, do not work with bones. We only manipulate with your muscles. We play around with your muscles. We stretch your muscles and give the flexibility to the muscles. Then which is the best? I can't tell you which is the best because for me as a health practitioner, I look into total wellness. I am not biased in terms of say, hey, look, you are stiff, you can only come to Dr. Stretch. Oh, your spine is bad. No, come to Dr. Stretch, we can fix you. No. If that's the case, I think I'm going to get sued by everybody. But as a total wellness that I believe in, you might still need to see a chiro if you do have a spine issue or a bone that need to be adjusted. You also need to see a masseuse if you cannot take pain, right? So stretching is not really a very enjoyable session, but the enjoyment only come after the stretch, not during the stretch. Okay, so you may want to go for a rub down before you come for a stretch. Physio also may not have 100% time on a 1 hour session like that to work on your muscles. So they will tell you to exercise, they will tell you to do this movement. So everybody are expert in their field and you need to see what you need. Right, so there's no say what is the best, because if that is the case, there's only one kind of thing, people will all jump for that, right? So everybody work differently, but as a whole, we want you guys to be healthy in a total wellness perspective.
Okay, I think that's all for Q&A session.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
So let me share the slides. Okay, thank you, Ellen and Dr. Stretch, for joining us in this Orange Eye WeCare webinar series. So I believe that all of you enjoyed the webinar. So if you enjoyed the webinar, please raise hand and let me know. Oh, thank you. I saw like. Okay, thank you for responding to my request, and I'm glad that most of you enjoyed the webinar. So the main highlights for today also, which is is that everyone, all of you will receive a 50% discount off single session. So this is only for new customers only. So to redeem, firstly call to make appointment at any Dr. Stretch outlet. And then during the day of the appointment, simply flash this image that is shown on the screen to enjoy the 50% discount. So don't worry, because we'll be sending this image to your email by the end of today. And promotion will end on 30th October 2021. So, right, so I know that your next questions will be, what number to call and where to go, right? So now I'll hand over the time back to Alan to share more information about Dr. Stretch.
Yeah, I think I saw some of the questions asking, so where can we go to look for all the self-stretches and stuff like that? Basically, is information over here in our Instagram. You can follow us. We do teach some of the self-stretches in there. So the next thing is that what are the numbers to call? Beside having the online platform of what we do, we also do some collaboration with other companies. Okay, this is where we have 7 shops in Singapore right now. There may be more coming up as well. So these are the numbers which is whichever nearest available to you. You just need to scan the QR code. Okay, you'll be able to get into the details of where you need to go and what kind of information that you need to find out. So basically, once you scan the QR code, you select a shop that you want to go straight away. Text is going to be in there. You just need to fill up whatever the information is in there. Yep, hope to see you guys. I hope that Raffles Health Insurance and us can give you a really great understanding of why X is able to get away through a stretch. Yeah, so hopefully we are able to resolve most of the issues and questions.
Okay, with that, thank you, Alan and Dr. Stretch once again.
No worries.
So, yep, if you would like to check our past webinar, you can go to www.raffleshealthinsurance.com, go to Resource Center and Webinar Resource Library, and you have access to all the recordings for free. So unfortunately, we have come to the end of the webinar, and we thank all of you for joining and staying with us in this webinar. So we hope that you will continue to stay safe and do keep a lookout for our special webinar edition in October. So stay tuned and we hope to see you again. Take care and goodbye.